What up, fellow agents? PurePrime here. Today I'm gonna show you my 3.11.7 build for PvP in TU6. And yes, guys, the 3.11.7 still works. Around 400k armor, 60% explosive resistance, and 90% hazard protection. Are you ready? Let's go! And this is the build, guys. I went for 3.11.7, as you can see. I have a lot of armor, 400k armor, running that bloodsucker of course, and then went for compensated. It doesn't look like much, because we only have 3 reds, but that compensated, the perfect spotter, and of course my backpack with underropes have a pretty nice synergy, guys. And if you look at my skill power, with only 7 yellows I got the top skill power. This is the max skill power. Skill power mods will go to 3k. And as you can see, my mine is at 3k 42 and my cam launcher is at 2970. Just like always, I will show you the gameplay in the left side corner. It will probably be a few conflict matches and maybe some DZ, but have a look, and in the meanwhile I will show you and tell you the build. And as you can see, I went for the specialization, the technician, and I'm not doing it for this incredible rocket launcher because it's fun to play with it as well, even in PvP. If it hits, and it's pretty easy to dodge, but if it hits hard, guys. It's very fun. But I'm doing this for the 50% free skill power. Of course you can get higher up in your skill power, but there's a cap on the mods. The highest mod that you can get right now is 3k. But let's get over to the guns, guys. As you can see, I'm rocking a P416. It has a base damage of 20.8k. It has an RPM of 750 and a mag of 50. I rolled Sadist on there. It got distance and protected reload. And I rolled Sadist on there because it will give me 30% damage to bleeding enemies. After 3 kills, apply bleed to the next enemy you hit. And as you know, there are a lot of people running skill builds or running hive builds, and those will do bleed damage. So yeah, I'm going with the flow, so to say. Other people will do bleed damage, the enemies will bleed, and my sadist will kick in. It doesn't matter if you do it yourself. As long as your enemy is bleeding, you will get that 30% weapon damage. And let's get over to the mods, guys. The first mod on my weapon is the 5% critical hit with the mini reflex sight. Then of course I'm rocking the sturdy, the 20 rounds, and the minus 10% reload speed. And then I got 5% critical hit damage with the flash hider. And as you can see on my underbarrel, I have the linked laser pointer. And the linked laser pointer is also one thing that you can get from the new specialization. And this means whenever you aim at an enemy, the enemy gets pulsed. And that's why I'm using, of course, spotter on my mask. And I don't even have to use the pulse myself. Then for my secondary, I went for the eagle bearer because sometimes I like to switch, you know, if it takes too long to reload, if you are in close combat fight, then I love to switch to my eagle bearer and still hit hard enough with my assault rifle. And then the third talent will give me, while holstered, gain 10% bonus armor while firing your current weapon. And as you saw on my custom, I had protected reload. While equipped, this weapon grants 10% armor while reloading. So when I reload, I get 10% bonus armor, and that 10% of 400k is of course 40k armor. But if I'm shooting with my custom, The Eagle Bearer will give me that 10% bonus armor while firing my current weapon. In real life or in the game, I have 440k armor because it doesn't matter if I shoot or reload a gun, I always get 10% bonus armor. Then for my secondary, I went for the lightning rod with perfect salvage, allegro and double duty. I'm still figuring out what I would love to have for the talents, for the third talent, because the double duty is nice as well, while holstered reloading from empty gives you a 20% of your magazine back as free ammo, and that can occur every 30 seconds. Because I went for a high hazard protection, I don't need stop, drop and roll. I always loved stop, drop and roll, but I don't need it anymore. I have a high hazard protection, so it doesn't matter if I bleed or get on fire or have poison, because it won't hurt me. And then yeah, for the mods, I went for the critical hit chance, 11 rounds, 10% critical hit chance, and another 5% critical hit chance. But yeah, I'm not usually shooting with my handgun, I'm only using it for the third talent. And then guys, let's get over to the build. As you see, I went for a 2-piece Negotiator's Dilemma, a 2-piece Gillia Guard, 1-piece Fenris and 1-piece Murakami. And let's start with why did I chose the Negotiator's Dilemma and why 2 pieces. Because you're missing a talent on your knee pads. You won't miss a talent on your holster because yeah, the Gillia Guard one is the best holster to get, in my opinion then of course, and that will not come with a talent at all. I chose for this one because guys, the 2 set will give me that 30% explosive resistance. And like all you know, there are a lot of mines out there, just like I'm using. And there's a lot of other bombs in here. And after TU6, those bombs and those mines and those grenades hit freaking hard. Don't get me wrong, I won't go for a 3rd-piece Negotiation Dilemma because that's a freaking cheeky build, guys. We all know that blowback, launch a grenade at the target that depleted your armor can occur every 3 seconds. Yeah man, that's so overpowered after TU6. I'm loving that they are gonna nerf it. But let's get back to my knee pads. The knee pads have 28.4k armor and I went for the attribute 11.5% total armor on there. And then for the defensive mod I went for a higher explosive resistance. So I went for 10% extra explosive resistance, a little above 2k armor and 2.5% total armor. I have a lot better defensive mods, but I chose for that explosive resistance because yeah, that 400k armor is decent enough. I can push this up to 480, 450 with the right mods, but I'm choosing for explosive resistance. Then for the second mod, it's a yellow one, 104 skill power, 130 seeker skill power and 107 chem launcher skill power. And then for the second piece of the Negotiator's Dilemma, my holster. Of course, this is the second piece that gives me that 30% explosive resistance. And then I went for 17k health and I rolled 762 skill power on there. Just like my knee pads, I can give this 2 mods, a blue and a yellow. The first one, again, I went for 12% explosive resistance, a little under 2k armor and 2% total armor. Then for the utility mod, I went for 139 skill power, 113 chem launcher skill power and 75 seeker skill power. And this will give me an armor of 33.7k. That's pretty decent. That's a nice armor for my holster. Then guys, let's go over to my 2-piece Gillia Guard. And why 2-piece Gillia Guard? Because the first one of course will give me a free 5% total armor, but the second one will give me that 20% hazard protection. And for my gloves, I chose for compensated. Weapon damage is increased by 10% when your critical hit chance is below 20%, and it requires 3 reds or less. And that's why I chose for 3 reds then, of course. I got 19% Hazzard Protection on here, and I rolled that 13% assault rifle damage on there. And then I got a utility mod on there with 222 seeker skill power and 41 skill power. Then, for the second piece of my GOOO guard, it's the mask. And the mask has the perfect spotter on there, 20% weapon damage to pulsed enemies, and that of course requires 5 yellows. I got at 18.7k health on there, and I rolled at 50% Hazzard Protection on there. The highest is 57, I'm still looking for it. The highest that I found was 51, but that's on another build. So that 1% didn't really matter in my opinion. And then of course, because it's a GOOO guard, I can get another mod on there. 150 skill power, 3.5% explosive damage and 1% bleed damage. Then guys, for my vest I went of course for the Fenris, because the Fenris will give me that 10% assault rifle damage, and I'm shooting with an AR of course. The attributes are a blue, a yellow and a red, so I have a rainbow chest, and I rolled that 30% total armor on there. I got 322 skill power and a 6.5% weapon damage. The 6.5% weapon damage could be a lot higher, but I'm loving this chest because I rolled up 30% total armor on there, but my second talent on there is 15% extra armor, and only this vest will give me 45% total armor, and that's insane guys. Of course then Bloodsucker, and I have a blue mod on here, a defensive mod with 6% explosive resistance, 2.5k armor and 3.5% total armor. And then as you can see guys, I went for the Murakami backpack, almost 40k armor on there. It will give me 8% health. I rolled almost 30k armor on there. It already has 11.5% total armor and 2.5% weapon damage. And again, I would love to have a little bit higher of weapon damage, but this gives me a lot armor, and I'm choosing armor above weapon damage because the whole synergy of the build will give me a lot of power output. Then, of course, like we talked about, I went for On the Ropes and I chose Destructive. And then for the utility mod on here, it's 116 skill power, 159 launcher skill power and 62 shield skill power. Of course, nothing to do with the shield, but this is boosting up my cam launcher. This is pretty much the build. It's very tough. It has 400k armor, plus, of course, that Bloodsucker, and then with my guns that extra 10% when I'm shooting or when I'm reloading. But look at this mine guys. I went for the explosive mine, the seeker mine, because it will apply bleed effect on the enemy target. It's only one mine. I usually use it while fighting with people that have clutch. But look at this damage guys. PvP damage 224k, almost 225k. And that's very high. There are a lot of people running around that maybe have 50k higher combined than this. Then of course shooting on them, and yeah, it's pretty nice and pretty easy to take them down. The cooldown is 20.7 seconds, and I went for 3 mods of course. The first mod, 188.4 skill haste, and then I went twice for damage, 97.1% damage and 86.4% damage, and that's why this mine is hitting so hard. And of course it applies that bleed like I mentioned, and that will proc my Sadis on my gun, and it will give me another 30% weapon damage. And next to that I went for the chem launcher, and the chem launcher will repair me for almost 70k in PvP. And that's because I went for 2 heal mods, of course, with 86.8% heal and that 88.9% heal. And that's why it almost gives me 70k armor repair within PvP. But yeah guys, this is my freaking build. I'm loving it, and just like you saw on all the footage that I showed you, it's pretty tough. It's pretty good to play with. It's very nice because it has a lot of hazard protection, so you won't have to worry about all those hives or all those bleed guns or all those pyromaniac builds. You don't have to worry about that. And even with the mines coming your way, you don't have to worry about that as well. So let's get over to the stats guys, and I will show you. So the first stat, of course, my weapon damage. Why is it showing 19.4 while my custom shows me 20.8? This is strange. Okay. Stats. Oh, there it is. Strange, right? Okay. So my weapon damage is 20.8k. But we're of course looking at that PvP weapon damage because this is a PvP build. So in PvP we have 14.3k weapon damage. That's pretty nice. 5% critical hit chance, 30% critical hit damage, 55% headshot damage, a range of 30 meters, a reload time of 2.5 seconds because yeah, we have that minus 10% reload speed. Then for the offensive guys, 19% all weapon damage bonus, 38% assault rifle bonus, then that 15% shotgun damage bonus and 15% rifle damage bonus because of course I chose that in my specialization. Then we got 29% health damage because yeah, every assault rifle has that. Then we got 43.5% explosive damage. And that's nice for my specialization and of course for the mines and the grenades I throw. Then we're going to the defensive guys. 403k armor. The max health is 67k health. I have a little health regeneration of 33k. And then look at this guys, almost 60% explosive resistance. And like you saw in all the footage, it helps you out. It helps you out. Just like that 89% hazard protection. And that's very nice guys. It will only set you on fire or make you bleed like a half a second. So you don't have to worry about that, just like we talked about. But yeah guys, this is pretty much my build, and there are a lot more builds coming. Look at this guys, I got a lot more builds for you, but that's for the next couple of days. So watch my channel, and just like always I try to be quick and easy, showing you the footage of me playing and showing me the footage of the build at exactly the same time. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to smash that like button and hit that subscribers button. And of course the notification bell. PurePrime out.